You're watching Beyond Markets. I'm Kenneth Igbomo. On today's show, we explore how Nigeria can chart a strategy for national unity. You can join the conversation with the hashtag Beyond Markets and follow my handle at Kenneth Igbomo. The richness of Nigeria's diversity is one worth envying. But in this critical point of the nation's history, there has been a very divisive narrative which has become a very serious concern, for the future of the country. I have Vincent Anigbogu, who is the Director General of the Institute for National Transformation with me, and he joins me to discuss how we can chart a strategy for national unity. Thank you so much, Vincent, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Ken.
I'd just like to get a sense from you from, how we can chart this strategy and foster a deeper sense of unity in the country.
Well, we must first create a clear vision of where we are going as a nation. Vision has a way of galvanizing people, and lack of it creates mistrust. Let me give you a simple example. I remember back in 1996 when our Olympic team, made up of players from different parts of the country, but we were aiming for the Olympic gold medal. All of us came together. At that moment, we forgot our religious backgrounds. We forgot our tribal backgrounds. We were all cheering. And when they won the Olympics, the whole nation came together. So vision is what brings people together. But when leaders lack vision and they start painting pictures of hatred and division, it also divides the country. So there needs to arise in this season a clear picture, greater than all the tribes, greater than all the religion, a great picture of where the nation ought to be heading. And you will see people line up and follow.
So as the Director General of the Institute of National Transformation, we've been reading the headlines, making rounds. We've seen different factions in different sections of the country showing their grievances in one way or the other. More recently is the one from the Arewa youth who gave an ultimatum to a section of the country and said they should vacate the Northeast. When you sit and you hear such utterances, how does that make you?
In fact, my heart cry out. Because these youths were once a plain piece of paper that God had given us to write anything we want on them. We could have written in them principles of greatness. In fact, even our national anthem says, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, living just and true, and then attain great lofty heights. What have we done? Instead of teaching them just and truth, we have poured hatred into them. So when I see the youths, I don't blame them. They are just reacting to the leadership situation of the nation. And you have seen that escalate. Now other youths are responding in a way that's not very good for the nation. I think it's time we go back to the drawing board and find the dream, the vision for which our founding fathers were able to work together and agree to form a nation. There is a dream called the Nigerian dream, just like there's an American dream. But our leaders are not painting that picture, and that's what we're suffering from.
So we know where it's the stage where we are at now. We're seeing all this happening. So yes. We're trying to chart that deeper sense of unity, that strategy. So how would you advise the government to go about this, going forward from now with all that has happened so far? Okay.
It has been said that whatever situation you're going through, somebody has already gone through it. Whatever we are going through today in Nigeria, nations like Singapore have gone through it. It's a very diverse nation with 4 different races, not even tribes. Here we are dealing with 4 different tribes, but we are all black people. In Singapore, they have 4 different races, Chinese, Indians, Malays, but they have been able to chart a common cause. And one of the things they did is that they put the nation first before every race or every tribe. Therefore, anyone that speaks against anything that will lead to destabilization of the nation is severely punished. Therefore, these youths that made that utterance, the first thing government should have done is to arrest them and teach them a lesson that you cannot sow seeds of division. When that is done, it teaches the youth in other segments of the society that the unity of the nation cannot be tampered with.
But I would see that as being reactionary.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for how we can set up proactive steps, or so that future incitations like this do not come up.
Well, you have to use both the carrot and the stick. So what I just gave you is the stick aspect, and it's also important. The carrot aspect is to create a sense of belonging. When youths feel that they don't belong, when they feel alienated, when they don't have a sense of direction, they tend to blame adults. And if you don't channel their reaction well, of course it can lead to all kinds of... So we need to do more. And I must confess, as somebody, I'm 63 years old now, we are probably the generation, the last generation that saw a one Nigeria. We are the generation that enjoyed a unified Nigeria. That's why we can still talk about the possibility of one Nigeria. But unfortunately, the younger generations have not seen that. They were born into a very divisive, tribalistic, corrupt society. They've never really tested a Nigeria that was once good and unified. So we need to go back to the drawing board again and start and revisit what I call our national values. They were values that formed this nation. Most people think that our founding fathers were not sincere. I believe they were sincere in the pursuit of a nation. But unfortunately, their greed, their tribal sentiments overran the national vision.
So what I've been seeing so far, we're talking around the symptoms basically. We're seeing the results. Yes. I'd like us to address the causes of this, because I would like to believe that some of these causes, not all of them are whimsical. Some of them might have some credibility. I would like to address, what do you think have been these major causes of the divisions? The divisions.
Well, number one, let's start with nepotism. Is a serious issue in Nigeria, even in appointments. And it has led to this sense of what I call our turn. So every tribe is waiting for their turn. It's our turn to eat, not our turn to work, not our turn to develop, not our turn to give our best, but it's our turn to get the national cake. So this fundamentally flawed mentality of national cake is wrong. Everybody has since been going to Abuja or to the capital for their piece of the cake. And now the cake is almost finished, and we are fighting. But if we had founded a nation based on what you can bring, what you can develop, which was how it was. The North were developing agriculture, so were Southeast, the West cocoa. So they were contributing to the national coffers. But oil, unfortunately, instead of being a blessing, has contributed to this mentality. I call it a hunter mentality instead of a farmer mentality. A farmer knows, I have to prepare, I have to cultivate. So your mindset is creating. But a hunter is looking for something I did not produce to kill and eat just because it's my right. That is a fundamental value shift that has come as a result of oil, and it has created this fratricide, if I may call it.
There have been different calls, on a need for restructuring in the country.
Yes.
Do you think this is the path to go at this point?
I think so. Let me tell you why. Restructuring simply means give regions or states, whatever, autonomy. That is, challenge them to develop what's in their land. Whenever you take away the incentive from a man to be innovative and be creative and to learn to survive, whenever you remove that incentive, they will naturally gravitate towards what is the word? They expect others to meet their needs. It benumbs your creative ability. It doesn't allow you to bring out your best. So I think we need to somehow restructure whereby states must be viable based on what you produce. Of course, from that you contribute to the center to maintain the roads and infrastructure and security. But when you remove that incentive, my friend, it kills a nation. Go and check every nation that has developed. Singapore, South Korea, even India now is looking within and maximizing their resources. China has gone into production. If you don't produce, then you become a consumer. We must become producing states, producing units.
I hear you when you say that. But so now there are sections that I feel they've been marginalized. So do we need to create a new template, where the people who are aggrieved, are heard in from? Do you think that will help in the healing process?
I think so. Even in that federated state, we should be sensitive to know people that need help, and the government should step in and give them the initial nudge that they need, the capital. By the way, one of the major issues, especially in the southeast region, is marginalization. And of course, no one wants to be marginalized, whether in the south, southeast, southwest. That's why I still believe we should pray that God will give us leaders that love Nigerians. That, like a father who has different kinds of children in your home, they have different attributes, they have different characteristics. Some are very forceful, some are timid. A good father still knows how to come in and protect the dominant one from taking over the food of the young ones and still maintain love. When you lose that sense of fatherliness, you're no longer a leader. You are dividing the nation. You have actually betrayed the mandate that put you there. So one of my prayers is that God will one day give us a leader that loves all Nigerians. Okay, let me be honest with you. I've interacted with many Nigerians, and I'm totally convinced that there are good Nigerians in every tribe, just as there are bad ones. I have friends from across the nation. I love, in fact, in my heart, I don't, I can proudly say I've come to a level where I don't make that distinction. We need leaders that love the nation.
I'll need you to hold that thought right now. We'll go to a short break. I've been speaking to Vincent Anigbogu, who is the Director General of the Institute for National Transformation. If you're just joining us, we have been discussing how to chart a strategy for national unity in Nigeria. My guest is Vincent Anigbogu, who is the Director General of the Institute for National Transformation. Thanks again, Vincent, for joining us.
Thank you.
Before we went on break there, you were talking a lot. You were talking about, how aggrieved sections can be heard. I know, and the center of all this is inclusiveness. I would like for you to just give me a sense of what you think, how the government can better assure the various sections of the company of their relevance to the national plan.
I go back to the family scenario I gave you before. We are a family. One of the leaders I admire in history is Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, now late. Lee Kuan Yew said that during the campaign for election as the Prime Minister of Singapore, he is of Chinese descent. But a Malay woman who is a Muslim raised the hand of her young daughter and used it to wave at Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew said that when she saw the hand of a little young girl from Malay, even though he's Chinese, waving at him, that he decided that every right of that young girl would be defended. And that's how he ruled Singapore. Even when the Chinese rose up, are you with me, to demand that being the majority, almost 80, more than 80%, they were demanding that Chinese be the lingua Singapore, be the language of Singapore. He shut the newspapers down. What am I trying to say? A leader who wants to be inclusive must go the extra mile to prove to the other groups that you have their interests at heart. Just as you can punish them severely for offending, you also love them in excess, so that anyone that sees them will say, your heart is genuine. We are lacking that. Not just in Nigeria, in Africa. Our tribal sentiments, in fact, can I tell you what Singapore, what Lee Kuan Yew said about Africa after visiting us? He said, I was not optimistic about Africa. In less than 10 years after independence, Nigeria has had a coup and Ghana a failed coup. I thought their tribal loyalties were stronger than their sense of common nationhood. This was especially so in Nigeria, where there is a deep cleavage between the Muslim Hausa Northerners and Christian and pagan Southerners. Lee Kuan Yew, just spending a day or two in Nigeria, made this observation and concluded, this was in 1966, January, he concluded that Nigeria will not move forward with this mentality. 50 years later, we are still where we are.
So how can we shape opinions right now? You know, looking at all the players involved, the government, you know, everybody involved. How can we help to, and I would like for you to speak more on the government and how they can lead in shaping opinions for national unity.
I don't mind telling you, recently I met with the Minister of Information, and I gave him a proposal. I said, INT is ready to partner with you, especially the National Orientation Agency, to engage the nation to totally reorient the thinking and the mentality of Nigerians. And that can be done just based on our national anthem. Let me just give you one example. Our national anthem says, arise, O compatriots. Nigeria call obey. What is a call? A call for quality service. So let's begin to challenge our people to offer quality service. The mentality in Nigeria today is that where you work is where you chop. A chopping mentality doesn't build a nation. That's why they're discovering millions and millions of foreign currencies in people's homes. It is shameful. The elite of Nigeria has failed Nigeria. They got education to have a good life. They never got education to develop a nation. That's the number one problem. They are still hunters with fine English and fine eloquent speeches, but their mentality is still fundamentally hunters. So the second thing, it says, quality service that's marked with love. What does that mean? It means to serve with compassion, selflessness, sacrificial heart, other people-minded, and patriotism. To serve with strength means to serve with fearlessness, courage, and righteous boldness, knowing that what I'm doing is right. You know, we need to inculcate this. The template is already there.
Looking at this, you bring me back to your discussion earlier on the national values you mentioned. You know, would you say they've done we're doing a good job in indoctrinating those national values at the very early stages?
No, we're not.
Primary school to secondary school too.
We're not. I have not seen a deliberate effort to convert these national values into curriculum to which our children can be exposed. Everybody from the teacher to the principal is all about what I can get. Where I work is where I chop. This chopping mentality, even the issue at the national polity, It's still about who is chopping what. Go and look at the composition of APC. Many of them were former PDP. So have their mindsets changed when they join APC? Therefore, they're a different party? Of course not. It's the same mentality.
So we're still looking at how to shape these opinions. I want to believe social media has also been a very, very important tool in building the divisions that we've seen so far. I believe it can be a very strong solution. What's your take on that?
I think it's actually the restlessness you feel in Nigeria today is created through the social media. The introduction of all these social media platforms has allowed unfiltered, collaborated messages so we don't even know what to believe. I also believe that government can, through this media, consistently send an encouragement. And I must say, recently, I'm beginning to see some messages that encourage me from National Orientation Agency, discouraging Nigerians from bribery and what have you. But we need to do more. You know what Singapore did? They took advantage of every public platform to teach their people their values. They took advantage of the motor park, cultural associations, and strategically and purposefully sent people to go and reorient their mind. We need to do that.
It's a tricky one because, I'm looking at this, looking at the way the nation has evolved over the years. We've seen that we've been through a lot. We've been through a time of war. We've been through a civil war. We've been through coups. We've been through military administrations. We've been through all that. How do you think people who have been through all this can heal and let go of the past, and then so we can foster a future?
Well, Mr. Kane, you're looking at me as an example. I went through that. I went through the Civil War. I was 13 years old when the Civil War started. And mind you that before then, in 1960, 1961, 1962, we were lining up by the roads and waving Nigerian flag, are you with me, to our leaders, celebrating. In fact, I was just visiting the national anthem then. Listen to what we are saying. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongues may differ, but in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace and battle we will honor it, and this we count as gain. To hand on to our children a banner without stain. What we are doing today is that we are handing them a stained banner. That statement from the Arewa youth is a symbol of broken leadership, broken dream, our inability to transmit the original dream of the nation to our children. And by the way, it says, "Oh God of creation, grant this our request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. So with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed." That's a prescription for building a viable nation. But we allow tribal hatred and sentiments to overtake this wonderful dream. And today, we are harvesting the fruit of that.
So in looking at this dream, let's look at the picture we need to put in front of us,
Yes.
and start and how we can inculcate it across board so that we start reaping the fruits, say 15 to 20 years from now, in unity.
We have to go back to the drawing board. In fact, Ken, as I was coming here, the speech of Martin Luther King Jr. inspired me. I have a dream. So I put something here together. I said, like Martin Luther King Jr., I still have a dream that one day my compatriots will rise up and obey the national call to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith, with heart and with mind. In spite of all the noise going on in the nation, I still have a dream that one day, through quality mentorship of our children for succession, that they will attain greater lofty heights and build a nation where peace and justice reign, not war and carrying guns. I will keep dreaming that one day the children from the Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, Yoruba, Ibibio, Ijo, Edo, from all the ethnic minorities in Nigeria, will sit together and discuss in sincerity and transparency about their future that are tied together in a single cord of destiny. That's my dream, and I believe it will happen.
Thank you for sharing that dream with us,
Yes.
Vincent. I've been speaking to Vincent Anigbogu, who is the Director General of the Institute for National Transformation.